Hi there, everybody. Eric here, your Learning Futurist. Today, I'd like to talk about this guy and what I like to calling it the phone on the face technology and why Facebook is so interested in getting to be the king in this area and how it relates to a kind of a financial report that came out, Mark S. Mahaney, and how they're losing tons of money by endeavoring into making these things and letting you buy them for so cheap. So what is it about these things? Why does Facebook think it's so important that people buy them? And why is it so important that they lose billions of dollars trying to get this right and in the hands of most people as possible? Coming up in this video. All right. Well, let's start off with the idea of the phone on the face. I've been calling it this for, I don't know, the 10 years or so I've been researching this, especially in the context of education, because we have access to technology, but technology has access to us with our smartphones from our pockets. But when we start putting them closer to our bodies, mainly on our face, they become not only accessible for us even in a closer way, but the technology becomes a lens from which we view the world and see and perceive reality. So this is huge for data gathering, for advertising, for behavioral surplus collection, for changing the behaviors of people who are using these devices. Tons of strong and important implications for this move from your pocket to your face, the phone on the face, as I like to call it. Right? All right. So some of the things coming out. We had that report, Facebook's business, VR business. They're starting to sell more Oculus Quest 2s. They look like this, the cheapest, best consumer value as far as the price available out there. It's so much cheaper. We're going to talk about the prices and how much cheaper it is and how much Facebook is losing, how much money they're putting into this, and why that's something that they want to do. All right. So in the report that was documented earlier this month, Facebook losing between 5 and 7 billion. The report said 6.4 billion dollars just this year. They purchased Oculus in 2014, at that time for $2 billion, and that how much they've put into it since then is unknown. They do not report the specifics of investing into Oculus. We do know that they have around 10,000 employees working on virtual reality. So this is a huge endeavor for them, and they are looking to win the fight for the phone on the face and do it very aggressively, almost as aggressively as possible. They're not the only company that sought this. Magic Leap were in, I think, 2016, raised almost $3 billion in startup capital. At that time, I think it was the biggest startup investment round in history. And companies like Google and other companies thought that this was so important and so valuable that they invested the $3 billion. And even that wasn't quite enough. The timing wasn't quite right. This company has largely stuttered. They're still alive, but that $3 billion did not get them. So Facebook is even investing even more in this than possible from this big, huge startup, the biggest ever in the world. Right? So let's take a look at some of the headsets, VR headsets that are on the market right now. And you can see like the price difference here. So here we have the Quest 2 for consumers. Looks a lot like this one here. $299 for the starting price for that. There's a $799 price for business owners. We're going to come back to that. That's going to be an important point. But the closest competitor is the HP Reverb, and that's double the price. And if you want to get decent specs, you want to probably come over here to the Valve Index for $1,000. But these are not standalone headsets. You need to connect them to a very high-spec PC, a VR-ready PC. So if you want to do something similar to the Quest, of course, you can do more things with this higher end stuff, but it's not 10 times the price higher end than the Quest 2. So you can see enormous value. And although we're not quite sure, it seems that Facebook is subsidizing these or taking a loss at this lowest price to get these in the hands of as many people as possible. All right. So why would Facebook do this? Why would they put this in the hands of as many people as possible and try to take a loss? Well, Tim Cook and Apple are also in this fight. They haven't released any hardware as of yet. And they announced some plans to release a VR headset either late 2021 or 2022. But they know this is very important. Tim Cook, in the quote here, augmented reality promises to be as influential to our society as the smartphone. Now they're talking about augmented reality. Tim Cook and Apple are more keen on augmented reality than virtual reality. But this was like between 5 and 10 years ago, where there was a big debate, what's going to be more important, virtual reality or augmented reality? In my opinion, that's really a moot point. It's really going to be virtual reality, augmented reality, extended reality. It's going to be a spectrum of these technologies melted together, and different devices are going to give you different blends of these technologies put together. So you need to be able to do VR right, AR right, extended reality right, diminished reality right. All these types of things are going to kind of blend together in one big spectrum. So, of course, VR is kind of the low-hanging fruit at this point. So, of course, you don't want to be late into that game. So expect to see something from Apple as well. And they think it's super important enough to think that it's going to be as big as the smartphone moving forward. Right? And if you talk about data, Facebook is basically a data company. We are researchers, and research is starting to show just what kind of data we can glean from users of virtual reality and augmented reality, which is so much more data that we can harvest from just the using of these products than ever before, right? Our cell phones are getting good at tracking us where we are in the world. Sensors in here like gyros and cameras and other kind of LiDAR devices now that we're putting into the phones. All that stuff is going to be also in the headsets, of course, but now we're tracking your eye movement, your head movement, your body movement. And from this, we can glean all sorts of biometric data like your heart rate, your breathing rate, and tons of other kind of neurological and psychological things about you as a person from the use of it. And we can also de-anonymize users pretty well already by using this technology. So if you put on a headset and you use it for a while, you pretty much figure out who's using it just by taking that data of how your head moves, how your eye moves, etc. So that data is going to be super important for training AI systems, or collecting it and maybe in Facebook's world of showing you ads or targeting you with specific information to engage you, to get that engagement algorithm going for you and keep you in those worlds, keep you locked in on their content. Right. So let's come back to that price differential, because that $299 price is so cheap and they're losing tons of money. So it might be at a subsidy. But there's another price here of $799, and that is Facebook for Business. Right. So earlier this year, Facebook announced that they're going to require all people who use the Quest, again, I keep raising this up, that they have to log in or connect their devices with their Facebook account. And that was a big shocker, especially to educational technologists like myself, because that makes it pretty much a no-go for educational purposes and in schools, because you don't want to be asking students to connect their private social media accounts to, public school devices, or even connecting to other students in their class if they have to go through their own private social media. So Facebook businesses don't like this either. If they're working on some, they're secret information or privacy or whatever that stands for businesses to keep things, private and secure. So they're offering Facebook for Business, and that doesn't require that Facebook login. So even to Facebook, you can kind of see that your data, at the very minimum, is worth $500 about to them. So that is what your data is initially worth, or about, to Facebook. And that's not even including the subscription and service fees that go along with doing a Facebook for Business account. I have several colleagues and people that have reached out to me to get consultation on using these devices. And many people report that even if you are for example, a technology facilitator at a school or a district, working with Facebook for Business is not very educational friendly. It's hard to strike deals with them, and it's very expensive. So this is very worrisome for schools that have already kind of invested in these cheaper headsets. Now you can watch a video that I did before about bringing ads to these headsets that are starting to happen this year as well, because they're connected to your Facebook account. So your data is worth a lot. Facebook really wants to win this phone on the face race. What do you think? Will Apple come in and force Facebook to be a little more private? There's already been some pushback from the real world on their data collection. If that continues into virtual reality, we might see some other pushback as well. But Facebook really wants to win this battle. They don't have a phone like Android. They don't have a hardware platform or a store like Apple's App Store. This is their chance to get a direct-to-customer control from hardware to advertising, and they really want to win this battle. All right, that was a little bit on Facebook and their fight for the phone on the face. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks.